Right then, forget your James Bonds and your Jason Bournes. We're talking about the real deal here. Blokes so hard they make granite look like jelly. They're called the Spetsnaz GRU, and they were the Soviet Union's not-so-secret weapon. Think sabotage, raids, assassinations, all the fun stuff, really. Over the next 5 minutes, we'll take a look at their dirty little history. Buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Like and subscribe to emgotvhistory Warfare for more stories. Our story begins in 1956, in Hungary. The Hungarians, bless their souls, decided they'd had enough of the whole communist paradise thing. So they did what any self-respecting nation would do. They started a revolution. Enter the Spetsnaz, stage left, dressed like extras from a bad spy film. They swooped in, crushed the rebellion, and sent the message, "Don't mess with Mother Russia." Nasty business, but someone's got to do it, eh? Fast forward a decade or so, and we find ourselves in Czechoslovakia. The Czechs, a plucky bunch, decided to try their hand at a little freedom. Naturally, the Soviets weren't too keen on this whole free speech and democracy nonsense, so they dispatched their trusty Spetsnaz lads to sort things out. Disguised as tourists, they seized control of Prague Airport and the radio stations. The invasion was swift, brutal, and a stark reminder that the Soviets weren't afraid to use a bit of muscle to keep their empire in check. Now, Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires, they call it. The Soviets decided to have a go at conquering this mountainous, war-torn country. The Spetsnaz were thrown headfirst into the fray, tasked with hunting down the Mujahideen. They were also rather fond of blowing up Soviet supply lines. It was a brutal, bloody conflict, and the Spetsnaz learned the hard way that fighting in the mountains is about as much fun as a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. The Soviet Union may have gone kaput, but the Spetsnaz were just getting warmed up. In 1994, they found themselves embroiled in the First Chechen War. Chechnya, a region that makes downtown Baghdad look like a picnic area, was determined to gain independence from Russia. The Spetsnaz were sent in to crush the rebellion. What followed was a brutal, house-to-house battle in the Chechen capital, Grozny. The Spetsnaz, used to fighting conventional battles, were caught off guard by the Chechens' guerrilla tactics. Round 2 in Chechnya, and this time the Spetsnaz meant business. They targeted separatist leaders, conducted counterinsurgency operations, and generally made life miserable for anyone who dared to oppose them. It was a brutal, unforgiving conflict, and the Spetsnaz, with their ruthless efficiency, played a key role in crushing the Chechen resistance. In 2008, the Spetsnaz were back in action, this time in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. The Georgians launched an offensive against the breakaway region of South Ossetia. The Spetsnaz swung into action. They disrupted Georgian command and communications, helped seize strategic mountain passes, and generally made life very unpleasant for the Georgian military. It was a short, sharp conflict, and the Spetsnaz, once again, proved their worth as a highly effective fighting force. Remember those little green men who popped up in Crimea in 2014? The ones who looked suspiciously like Spetsnaz, but weren't, according to the Kremlin. Yeah, those were definitely Spetsnaz. They swarmed the Crimean Peninsula, seizing key government buildings, airports, and military bases. It was a bloodless takeover, executed with clinical precision. The conflict in eastern Ukraine has been rumbling on for years, a festering sore on the edge of Europe. And guess who's been stirring the pot? That's right, our old friends, the Spetsnaz. They've been training and equipping separatist forces, carrying out targeted assassinations, and generally doing their best to destabilize the region. Syria, a country ravaged by civil war, has become a playground for all sorts of unsavory characters. And the Spetsnaz, naturally, couldn't resist getting in on the act. They've been providing targeting for Russian airstrikes, conducting deep reconnaissance missions, and even engaging in direct combat with ISIS and other rebel groups. And so we come to the present day and Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The Spetsnaz, once again, are at the forefront of the fighting. They were tasked with spearheading the initial assault, seizing key infrastructure, and generally paving the way for the main Russian forces. However, it hasn't all been plain sailing. The Ukrainians, armed to the teeth and spoiling for a fight, have put up fierce resistance. It's a fluid situation, and only time will tell how it all plays out. So, there you have it, a brief and bloody history of the Spetsnaz GRU. From the streets of Budapest to the mountains of Afghanistan, these shadowy figures have left their mark on the world. Love them or loathe them, there's no denying that the Spetsnaz are a force to be reckoned with. From Cold War shadows to modern hybrid wars, the GRU Spetsnaz remain a tool of Russian power, trained to strike fast, vanish faster, and sow chaos behind the lines. For more stories like this, make sure to like and subscribe to EMGO TV History Warfare.